Buenos días, hoy es miércoles, el 21 de octubre de 2020. Hoy tenemos, please check out your feedback in Mi Familia. I took so much time writing you guys feedback, so please, here are the instructions of how to do that. Please click on the assignment within Canvas, choose submission details, which is at the top right corner, and click view feedback. You can expand the screen and scroll through the presentation to view the comments. Please do that, guys. That's going to help you guys out. And the stuff that we've been learning so far in class, you're going to keep using throughout the rest of your Spanish journey. So view the feedback. I did that for you guys. Please do that. You're watching today's lesson. That's awesome. And your homework is to work on page 53 and 54. I don't know if I said this yet, so I just want to make sure I'm saying this to you guys. If you did not get a C minus, or if you do not get a C minus in the first semester of Spanish 1, you cannot move on to second semester Spanish 1. So please make sure that you're getting your grades up and maintaining at least a C minus or above in my class to continue on for next semester. So on to the lesson for today. Today we're learning about conjugation. So we're learning about how to form the verb tener. We're going to use this verb to say what people have and also what they have to do. So conjugating, we've already worked with this a little bit, right? With the verb ser, we conjugated it to say yo soy, eres, es, somos, sois, son, right? So conjugating is changing the forms of a verb to indicate who is doing the action. For example, the English verb to have is conjugated as I have, you have, he, she, or it has, we have, and they have. Okay, so remember those charts we were working on with the different pronouns. We're going to look at those charts again. So Claudia has a computer. Claudia tiene una computadora. These are both conjugated verbs. So the verb that you conjugate, or the thing that you conjugate, is called an infinitive. Remember that an infinitive means to and then the action. So ser means to be. Once you conjugate that, you have the I am, you are, he, she is. So for the verb tener, that's the infinitive, that means to have. We're conjugating tener, which you see right here, tener, to have, to say I have, you have, he, she, or it has. And also remember usted, the you formal has. We have, you all have, and they have, or the you all have as well. Remember your usted and ustedes. So, how do you conjugate this verb, right? It's going to be tengo. Now this is an irregular conjugation. That probably means nothing to you at this moment. But a lot of conjugations will be easier to remember than this. So this is just a harder one. So anyway, it's yo tengo, I have. Tú tienes, you have. Usted tiene, that is you formal, have. Él or ella has, right? He or she has. Nosotros has, right? We have. Vosotros, you all, informal in Spain, has. And ustedes, you all, formal in Spain, or you all in any situation in Latin America, have. And ellos or ellas have. Remember, ellos is they with at least one male. Ellas is they with all females. Same with vosotros and nosotros. So tenemos clase el lunes. That means we have class on Monday. Hold up. Does tenemos sound familiar to you guys? Where would we have seen that? Oh, wait. Hoy tenemos. Right? So we say that every single day in class. Hoy tenemos means today. Hoy tenemos we have. So today we have. There you go, guys. You've already been learning this. You just didn't realize it. So tenemos is we have class on Monday. ¿Tienes una bicicleta? Do you have a bike? Tener que, and then an infinitive, is used when you have something that's obligatory or something that someone has to do. So for example, tengo que estudiar, I have to study. Miguel tiene que leer un libro, Miguel has to read a book. See how it's obligatory, like obligation? Let's work with these concepts, right? The more we work with them, the more we're going to get it down. So we have las clases. So las clases are on your page 86, so feel free to look at that as you're figuring out this presentation. But it says, escribe qué clases tienen estas personas usando formas de tener. So we're figuring out what classes they have and use tener. So yo, and then that class. So go ahead, pause. Well, let's do the first one together, and then you can try to figure out the last 5. So yo tengo, right? Going back to our chart. Find the yo tengo. Okay, awesome, I have. So yo tengo la clase de, looks to me to be matemáticas. Let's say yo tengo la clase de matemáticas. Go ahead, pause the video, do 2 through 6, and then come back and I'll discuss it with you. Okay, so yo tengo la clase de matemáticas. Nosotros, that's tenemos, right? We have. So tenemos la clase de inglés. Looks like maybe it's English class, I would say. La clase de inglés. What about this one? Claudia y Pablo. Don't be fooled, chicas. That's just another way to say ellos, right? They, because we're talking about them in third person, but it's plural. So Claudia y Pablo tienen la clase de ciencia, right? Sí, la clase de ciencias. Muy bien, that's tienen. Tú tienes la clase de arte. Claudia tiene. So again, we're looking back at our chart. Tú tienes, Claudia tiene, right? Because that's just saying ella. So Claudia tiene la clase de historia. Remember that H is silent on all of your Spanish words. You're never going to pronounce the H. La clase de historia. And ustedes, going back to our chart, ustedes tienen, right? You all have. La clase de español. La clase de español. The only ways I'm knowing this from the pictures is that they match with the pictures on page 86. So that's super helpful. Okay. So what we're going to do is quickly read this because I think it's interesting to learn about different cultures. It says uniformes escolares. How do the way students dress reflect the culture? In Mexico, it's common for students to wear uniforms in both public and private schools. The type and color of the uniforms can vary depending on the individual school. Most students in the Dominican Republic also wear uniforms. Public schools have the same uniforms while private school uniforms may vary. So it says compara con tu mundo. Why do some schools require uniforms? Are they common in your community? I believe they are not super common in our community. Obviously, our school doesn't wear uniforms. So that's interesting to learn that in Mexico, it is very common to wear uniforms, both public and private school. Here's a nota gramatical. The expressions of frequency, siempre and nunca, are usually placed before the verb. So, for example, Antonio siempre toma apuntes. Or, if we're using nunca, Rafael nunca llega a clase tarde. So notice how our verbs here are toma and llega. You see those are used before. Mucho is usually placed after the verb. So Raquel estudia mucho. Raquel studies a lot. De vez en cuando, muchas veces. And todos los días are usually placed at the beginning or end of a sentence. So for example, todos los días Jaime trabaja. Or Jaime trabaja todos los días. You see it's interchangeable. So either the beginning or the end. So that'll be important as we do actividad número 7. Pregúntales a otros estudiantes, pues no hay otros estudiantes contigo. So we'll just do that on our own. So it's saying ask other students how often they have to do activities. So I'll just ask you, right? And you can respond with your words of frequency. Palabras de frecuencia. So my question for you is, let's look at number 1. Tienes que, right? Do you have to? Tienes que leer libros. Now you would respond by how often you need to, right? So tienes que leer libros. You could say, sí, tengo que leer libros. Mucho. Or you could say, siempre tengo que leer libros. You could say, de vez en cuando tengo que leer libros. What about número 2? This probably changes depending on what family you're in and how it's structured. Tienes que preparar la comida. When I was living with my family, I would say, no, nunca, nunca tengo que preparar la comida, right? My mom would always prepare food for me, so I'd say, nunca tengo que preparar comida. However, now that I've moved out and I'm living in my own apartment, I say, siempre, siempre tengo que preparar la comida. Let's go ahead and skip to this one, número 6. Tienes que usar la computadora. Tienes que usar la computadora. You could say, tengo que usar la computadora todos los días. Tengo que usar la computadora muchas veces. Or, well, you guys are online students, so you cannot say nunca, right? You would have to say siempre. Siempre tengo que usar la computadora. Anyway, let's finish up with this para en piensa. Did you get it? Answer each question with the words in parentheses. Tiene que preparar la comida, Juan. So notice here we're talking in third person, right? Because we're using the verb tener. We're using the verb tener, but it's conjugated for the he, she, or it. So tiene. And we're talking about Juan. So we're just saying, does Juan have to prepare the comida? And we're saying nunca. So how do you respond to that? Well, let's go up and look back here. Nunca usually plays before the verb. So Juan nunca tiene que preparar la comida. Notice we're not putting an a in front of his name because we're not using the verb gustar. So we just say Juan nunca tiene que preparar la comida. What about número 2? ¿Cuándo tenemos la clase de inglés? Cuando means when, right? ¿Cuándo tenemos la clase de inglés? Go back up here. Todos los días usually plays at beginning or end of sentence. So you could say, todos los días tenemos la clase de inglés. You could also say, tenemos la clase de inglés todos los días. Finally, ¿tienes que usar la computadora? ¿Tienes que usar la computadora? I already asked you that, right? You could say, sí, siempre tengo que usar la computadora. Muy bien, chicos. Your homework is pages 53 and 54 of your notebook. Please upload pictures of that. Again, chicos, I will be checking to see if you guys are actually doing the work and actually thinking through it and getting right answers. So please do your best. That's all for today. Email me if you have questions, students. Y adios. Hasta mañana.